Welcome back to a brand new video of From the Shed End. Thank you very much for watching this video. Before we get into the content, please go and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. And also give this video a like, give it a quick thumbs up for me. And yeah, we've been quiet. Obviously, Theo's away in Germany. He went to the game last night. I've been on daddy duties, doing half-term duties with my kids. So there has been a bit of a lack of content, but we're going to get right back into it and be back to normal from this week. But let's talk Borussia Dortmund. Let's talk Chelsea. Let's talk about the pros and the cons and the pluses and the negatives in the game and how it all unfolded, because you know, you go into these kind of games, knockout tournament football is anyone's. It can be the best team that turns up on the night. It could be the team that is the underdog that goes on to win. So going into this game, I was expecting a lot more from us. I was expecting so much more from the team, from the players, from Graham Potter. And I'm going to start off with the negatives first. I think the negatives is probably the only correct place to start with. And I'm going to start with, for me personally, why I felt like we should have been doing better throughout the game and what we could have done better. I mean, the lineup, let's start with the lineup. I thought a lot of it was self-explanatory and very predictable. You know, Kepa in goal, Reece James, again, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, Ben Chilwell, Enzo Fernandez, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Malachi Mudryk, João Felix, Hakim Ziyech, and Kai Havertz up front was the team that we went with. And it was a very predictable team. It was a team that we kind of we knew was going to be the starting lineup. We just knew it. I was a bit surprised to see Ruben Loftus-Cheek in there, if I'm honest. I thought maybe Dennis Zakaria and Mateo Kovacic, who were both on the bench. And my motto is, if you're fit enough to be on the bench, you're fit enough to start the game. One of those two, for me, should have partnered Enzo Fernandez in that double pivot, that role in midfield. Didn't happen. It is what it is. And if I'm honest, I thought we started the game relatively well. But it was more the same, more the same from us. And, early on, you could see that we had our chances. We were taking a lot of the chances. I think even up until maybe at one point in the game, we just looked like we needed everything to work well. Everything was going well for us, and then we just couldn't score. So it was much of the same in terms of that perspective. But even the offside goal, or the goal that was ruled out because of the handball from Thiago Silva, we were taking our chances. We were getting set pieces. We were getting corners. We were trying so hard to do things, and something going forward just isn't clicking for us. And for me personally, the fact that Kai Havertz is still our choice. Aubameyang's not in the Champions League squad, but we have Fofana on the bench, who's a good player. It seems like he's come on. He's done a couple of cameo performances. And is he going to be any worse than Kai Havertz? I don't think he is. I don't think he is going to be any worse than Kai Havertz. I think Kai Havertz, for me, he said it himself. It's clear to see he's not a striker. He gets the ball. He wants to run with the ball. He looks for the final pass. And when you've got a striker, you've got a number 9, you've got a killer instinct striker in front of goal. They're not looking to pass the ball. They're not looking to look for another player to put the ball in the back of the net for them. It's them. That's their job. You look at Haaland. He doesn't look to pass the ball unless the shot isn't on. He's taking the shot. Harry Kane, he's taking the shot. Lewandowski, he's taking the shot. Kai Havertz, unfortunately, is not that player that should be leading the line for us, that should be playing down the middle. He just doesn't have the confidence, I don't think, as well. And I say all the time on here, I just don't think he's built like a striker. You look at a striker, they've got the strength, the physicalities to be able to deal with defenders, big centre-backs. Last night he was up against Niklas Süle and Schlotterbeck as well. 2 centre-backs that were really good, for Borussia Dortmund. And Kai Havertz just looks out of sorts. He gets the ball. He's not really sure what to do with it. And I just think this is where, again, we were going to get onto. We have to start thinking about some of the things that Graham Potter could do better. And we're going to get onto that later in the video. But in terms of how we started the game, I was impressed. And I know a lot of Chelsea fans will say it was more of the same. It was, we didn't play well. We had bad performances, bad spells in the game. And I agree with that. We still have fresh players coming in. There's a lot of people that have left the club, a lot of people that are coming into it. So I think it is going to take time. And I 100% I'm behind that, 100%. But when we go 1-0 down, and let's talk about the goal. Let's talk about the goal that Adeyemi scored, which was a brilliant goal from the fact that they scored from our corner. It tells you a lot about our performance. Corner comes in, a Chelsea corner comes in, we get the corner. Borussia Dortmund clear their lines very well. The ball ends up at Adeyemi on the halfway line, or maybe just before or after the halfway line. Now, the one player I do potentially don't want to see. Now, we have to remember Adeyemi was playing really well. I think he was giving Reece James trouble down that right side as well. Throughout the game, throughout the first half, he was doing that all the time. But then he gets the ball on the halfway line, and Enzo Fernandez, credit to him, he's trying to stay with him. Now, there's two things for me that Enzo Fernandez should be doing in that situation. One of them is to move the player, so move Adeyemi towards the throw-in or corner, away from goal. Now, that's what a centre-back for me would want to do. You'd want to try and show him onto his weaker foot, or put him towards the corner flag, away from the goalkeeper, alleviate some of that pressure from Kepa. He doesn't do that. And to be fair, to credit to Enzo, I don't think he could have even, I know some people were saying he should have taken a yellow, should have tried to foul him, take a tactical foul or whatever. But even in that situation, I think he might get sent off because he is technically last man. It's a goal scoring opportunity. He could be sent off. So, and we can't afford to not have him in the return leg at Stamford Bridge. We clearly can see that clear as day. But Adeyemi burst the pace. He's one of the fastest. I think he's recorded the fastest sprint in the Bundesliga this season. He's burst the pace to seize Enzo. Fresh, clean pair of heels to Enzo Fernandez. Rounds Kepa. Again, Kepa can't bring him down. If Kepa brings him down, it's a red card. And it's a goal. And the worst thing about that goal was that it was our corner. It was our corner. We're too slow to get out of our from the corner. We've lost the ball. We need to now hit back and defend, and we don't do that. And I can't remember who it is, if it's Hakim Ziyech or it's someone else, but someone's almost, it might be Mudryk, is the closest to Adeyemi in terms of the space between Adeyemi, Mudryk, and I think Enzo Fernandez that side as well. You've got to close that down, and you've got to make it more difficult for Adeyemi as well to score that goal, and Enzo just didn't do that. And I mean, it took me back to, I think it was last season, Jorginho made a howler against Man United at Stamford Bridge, and I think it was Jadon Sancho and Rashford went on to, one assisted, one scored the goal for Man United, and it was very similar. It was very, very similar because we left one player back against someone who we know is very fast, and we allowed him to be exploited in a way that we shouldn't have. Realistically, we shouldn't have. So you look at that, the goal goes in, heads drop. Now, I have to mention João Felix because I love him. He's a brilliant player, but he had some really good chances last night and he has to take some of them. I think he skies one over the bar. I think he hits the crossbar, I think, at one point. He's in the right positions. He's doing what I feel that maybe Kai Havertz should be doing up front. And this is where I talk about Graham Potter because, sometimes you've got to switch things up. Graham Potter, we know at Brighton, he was all for playing, a sort of three centre-backs, wing-backs. The wing-backs would be, more midfield than anything. You'd have your three centre-backs that would be doing the defensive duties more so. And then you'd have the two wing-backs. I think Trossard would be one of them, potentially playing in midfield. So we know how Graham Potter wants to set up the team. And he's referred to this back four, which is fine. But we don't have anything going forward now. And we've lost that. We've lost that in terms of, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, credit to them last night. They were doing exactly what was asked of them, defensively and in the attacking areas as well. I thought they had a really good game, both of them. But we're creating chances. And, before we couldn't create chances, we weren't creating any chances. And now we're creating chances again, but we can't take them. So we're back at square one again. And I think it all comes down to me. Tactics is a big thing for us now. We can't use the fact that we haven't got Reece James in the squad. We haven't got Ben Chilwell. When they come back, we'll be okay. They're back. They're playing. So we can't use that excuse anymore. We can't use the fact that Jorginho slows things down. Jorginho was playing in Arsenal's 3-1 defeat to Man City last night. We can't use these things as excuses anymore. We have to start thinking about how we can adapt in games as well. Not just at the starting lineup, but throughout the game. Throughout the game. Because when you go 1-0 down and you can see that Dortmund are bossing the midfield, they're picking off passes, it's easy for them. They're just walking through the midfield. Jude Bellingham's picking up the ball. Emre Can was everywhere last night. You know, they're just picking up the ball. They've got time on the ball. They're picking the passes. They can do what they want. And they're dictating how we play our game. And for me personally, when I see that, I think Graham Potter should be thinking, right, tactically, this isn't working. You know, Mudryk, I like him. You know, we saw that lovely cameo against him at Liverpool at Anfield, and he looked like a fresher breath of fresh air, someone that we haven't seen with that pace and that flair to take players on. But the last couple of games I've seen of him, maybe it's just an adjustment to playing with Chelsea, but he just doesn't seem like the player that we thought or think we've got so far. And it's early days for him, so it's hard to, you know, it'd be stupid to try and judge him at this point in his career. But I just think sometimes the simple pass is on. We don't need to see flicks and tricks when we're 1-0 down. We want to see good football, possession-based football, attacking football. And I think Mudryk tried to do that a couple of times, you know. I think it was Wolf that was on the left side for Dortmund. And Mudryk was actually, in the first half, was doing very well to take him on and trying to get into a couple of spaces. But fizzled out very early for Mudryk again. And, you know, it just didn't, for me, just didn't make any sense for some of the things that he was doing in the game. But I can see what we're trying to do. But I think tactically we have to change things. We have to adapt in games. We have to adapt. We were being outbossed in midfield. We've got Dennis Zakaria. We've got Mateo Kovacic on the bench. You have to bring someone into that midfield to support Ruben Loftus-Cheek, to support Enzo. Maybe allow Enzo to go a bit more forward. Maybe you put Zakaria next to Ruben Loftus-Cheek and allow Enzo just a bit more, you know, unleash the reins a little bit and allow him to go forward a little bit more, because he's the only player on the pitch really now that when he's got the ball, you're comfortable that he's got the ball. And you know that he's going to look for a forward pass. He's going to try and play the ball forward. He's going to pick out a beautiful pass, maybe to Hakim Ziyech or to Mudryk, or to feed the ball through to João Felix. But at times as well, if you noticed, again, and this is going back to the game at the weekend as well, you know, teams cotton on to what Enzo's about and they stick two men on him. And when they stick two men on Enzo Fernandez, he's limited to what he can do. He's limited. So I think for me, Graham Potter has to adapt during games. You know, maybe push Felix a bit more higher up. Maybe put him as the striker and maybe put Kai Havertz as the 10, or put Mason Mount as a 10. But clearly something isn't working with Havertz up front. You know, João Felix is trying to do his best, but at the end of the day, you know, he can feed the ball, you know, he can try and take a shot on, you know, but at the end of the day, we need to be taking these chances. We have to be taking these chances. I'm just going to pull up the stats here now. So we had a total of 21 shots, 8 on target. Bearing in mind, Dortmund only had 2 shots on target. We had 7 off target. We had 3 big chances and 3 big chances missed, and once we hit the woodwork. Now, we only had 1 counter attack, and we had 15 shots in the box. So if that doesn't tell you that we are creating chances but we're not finishing our breakfast, then I don't know, because we do everything right at the moment. Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, outstanding. Kepa, brilliant performance from him. Made some really good saves. But going forwards, we're just not clinical enough. And this is, again, maybe a question mark around, you know, whose decision was it to leave Aubameyang out the squad. I know he's been in and out of form. You know, I know he's not in the favour of the board or the manager. It doesn't seem like he's going to get a chance. But when you need goals and you've got a goal scorer, it doesn't matter if he's playing bad or he doesn't want to be at the club or whatever. You got to stick him in front of goal sometimes. Give him a chance. You know, he didn't want to go on loan. He wants to fight for his place at Chelsea, which is what the news is. He doesn't want to go to LAFC. So why is he not in the team? Why is Fofana on the bench? This is where we have to question Graham Potter, because he brought on, I know Ben Chilwell ended up with a knock, I think, to his ankle. It's not too serious, hopefully. So we shouldn't keep him out of the game for the weekend. But you bring on Cucurella, who for me was, again, you know, it slows the game down. Mason Mount comes on for Mudryk, and he had a good game, Mason Mount, and Cucurella done okay. But when you need a goal, you know, some people, some managers, they bring on additional strikers. They put someone in that midfield to control it a bit more. Graham Potter doesn't do that. He just leaves. There's no plan B for Graham Potter. And that's the worry for me. And this is why I always come back down to the manager. last night you can't really blame him because we did create the chances. That's down to the players. But when you can see that you're being dominated in midfield, and Dortmund almost had 4 in midfield. They're all compact. They support each other. They close in the midfield when they've got the ball, and when they haven't got the ball, the 2 out wide are on the attack to support Haller up front, Sebastian Haller up front. So when they do that, and you can see what they're doing, something must tick off in Graham Potter's head and think, right, this isn't working for us. Let's put on Kovacic. Let's put on Zakaria. Even if you have to put Conor Gallagher or Mason Mount in that, you have to put someone in that midfield, because that's where the game was being stretched for us. We were so stretched in midfield that we couldn't cope with it. And it was so easy for Dortmund, to go in and to just pass the ball around and run with the ball. Bellingham so many times would just turn and run with the ball. And it was so easy for them. So easy. So we have so much to do in this second leg, in my opinion. I mean, the game's open still for us, of course. We don't do things easy in the Champions League. We like to try and make things as difficult as possible. But I do think, when you go into these kind of games, you don't want to concede a goal. It doesn't matter whether it's, a sloppy goal, an easy goal. You just don't want to concede. And that's how you win these knockout tournaments. You can't keep conceding goals. You can't do that. So it's all to play for at the Bridge, of course. But something's got to change for me. And the fact we've spent 600 million and we still don't have a recognised decent striker on our books is scary, is worrying, because that's one of the things we need to address in the summer. But it's not good enough. It's not good enough when you got all these chances, we're making them, and we haven't scored 2 goals since Bournemouth, 27th of December. We've won 2 games in 14. So it's a worrying situation. And I think when we talk about giving the manager time, and the board are looking at years as opposed to seasons or months, they want to give them the years to get things right. Strap yourselves in, Chelsea fans, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. And if we're talking about in a couple of years, if we're still in the situation where we're still not able to see games out, we're not able to take our chances, we're not able to adapt during the game, what's all this been for? Why have we kept Graham Potter in for so many years? I think sometimes you have to cut your losses with something that isn't working, and this clearly doesn't look like it's working for Graham Potter. It just doesn't look like it's working. And like I said, the excuses will soon have to stop, because we've got Reece James back, we've got Ben Chilwell, we've got Enzo Fernandez now, we've got João Felix, we've got Mudryk. Okay, Madueke isn't in the Champions League squad, but in the Premier League, he's in there. Kai Havertz, if he's going to be told he's got to play number 9, he has to start taking some of these chances. He has to. Unfortunately, he has to do the job that he's been paid to do. And if he can't do that, we need to get someone else in. But to give Graham Potter years and years, and then to say after 3 years that nothing's changed and it hasn't worked with him, for me is so counterproductive, because we could actually be doing so much with this team that we have right now. With the team that we've got, we should be able to beat Borussia Dortmund. Because let's have it right as well. Defensively, they're not the best. We made them look a lot more better than they actually were. And that goes on just based on the stats, like I just read out to you before, but also the fact of how we know we can play with this squad. If you look at the team and how we can play with it, and when you can adapt as well during the game, it's so easy to see. It's so easy to see. And again, it goes down to the players, partially on them. They've got to start taking their chances, but the manager has to adapt. He has to be able to change something. And I don't mean just bring on Mason Mount and Cucurella, because that's just like for like. I'm talking about tactically change something during the game. So when you're seeing that you're being outdone in midfield, you bring someone else in to stop that from happening. And it gives you the opportunity to maybe bring someone, like I said, Enzo, or even Mateo Kovacic, who likes to run with the ball. He likes to get forward and make that key pass. Someone like that to go through and help Kai Havertz, assist João Felix. I just don't understand it. So let me know what you think anyway. We've got a return leg to come. It's going to be intense at Stamford Bridge. I mean, this, I suppose for Chelsea fans, this is really the last ditch hope of something this season. Obviously, we're out of the domestic cups. We're not going to get top 4 by the looks of it. Champions League is what a lot of Chelsea fans are clinging on to, that slight bit of hope that we might be able to get something out of this season. Me personally, I've already said this season for me is finito. I'm done with it. But But let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about last night's performance. Do we have enough in this squad to be able to get a performance out of them against Dortmund at Stamford Bridge? And also let me know what your thoughts are. If we can beat Dortmund, do we go on and hopefully get to the final? What's your thoughts? Give me all of those thoughts in the comments as well. Make sure you hit that Linktree link in the description as well. It takes you to all the social accounts and all our podcast episodes as well. And of course, when Theo is back in the UK from his trip to Dortmund, we'll have a next edition of the episodes out as well. So make sure you tune in for those as well on Spotify or Apple Podcasts as well. This has been T.Dot myself. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll be back very soon with another video.